One formation had everyone baffled, and people were saying, well, what is this? The most famous crop circles actually derive from fractal patterns.
Across quiet farm fields around the world, strange circular patterns keep appearing with no clear explanation. For years, they have been dismissed as hoaxes, weather marks, or simple tricks made at night. But now, an Italian inventor has made a bold and controversial claim that changes the story completely. He says these crop circles are not random at all. Instead, they are detailed blueprints for free energy machines that could power the world without fuel. Even more shocking, he claims he has built working models based on them. If this is true, what have we been looking at all along? Join us in this video as we discuss the details. Italian inventor claims crop circles are free energy blueprints. For a very long time, many people looked at crop circles and saw nothing more than strange shapes pressed into fields. Some believed they were tricks, others thought they were just art made in the night by people looking for attention. The idea that they could mean something deeper did not sit well with most observers. Still, one man chose to look at them in a very different way, and that choice slowly changed the direction of his thinking. Umberto Baudo approached the patterns with patience and with a kind of quiet focus that did not rush to judgment. Instead of simply looking and wondering, he started measuring. He took time to examine the spacing between circles, the size of each ring, and the way every part connected to the next. He did not treat the shapes as decoration. He treated them like parts of a system, like something that had been carefully planned. As he continued this process over many years, something began to stand out. The circles were not placed randomly. They followed ratios. They followed balance. They followed patterns that could be calculated and repeated. Slowly, the idea formed in his mind that these were not just shapes. They looked more like diagrams. They looked like instructions. He noticed that many formations had a center that was not perfectly aligned. This small detail mattered a lot. An off-center point, known as an eccentric core, can create imbalance when something rotates. And when there is imbalance, there is movement. When there is movement, there is momentum. This idea became very important in his thinking. He began to sketch what he saw. Then he began to rebuild those shapes in small models. At first, the results were simple and not very strong. The systems moved, but they did not do anything special. Still, he did not stop. He adjusted the designs again and again, always trying to stay true to the exact shapes he had measured from the fields. Over time, he realized that even small changes made the systems fail. If the spacing was off, the motion stopped. If the balance was wrong, the system became unstable. This told him something important. The patterns needed to be exact. They were not flexible. They had to be followed carefully. As his work continued, he began to see something else. The shapes reminded him of gears, of rotating parts, of machines that depended on movement. The circles were not just circles anymore. They looked like parts that could spin together. They looked like systems that could transfer force. This led him to explore the idea of centrifugal force. When something spins, it pushes outward. That outward push can be controlled if the system is built the right way. He started building models that could rotate, adding weights and springs to match the patterns he had studied. Each piece had a place. Each piece had a purpose. The early tests were slow. The systems needed an external push to start. But once they began to spin, something unusual seemed to happen. The motion did not die down as quickly as expected. In some cases, it appeared to keep going longer than it should. This observation pushed him further. He then turned to computer simulations to test his ideas in a controlled way. In these digital models, he could adjust every detail and observe the results. The simulations showed that when the patterns were followed exactly, the systems behaved differently. They appeared to hold their motion. They appeared to build speed under certain conditions. This result was surprising. According to known physics, systems should lose energy over time due to friction and resistance. But these models suggested something else. They suggested that under the right conditions, the loss could be reduced and the motion could continue longer than expected. At the same time, studies of crop circles around the world showed other unusual details. Plants inside the formations were bent, not broken. Some showed signs of heat without burning. The soil sometimes contained strange magnetic patterns. These details added to the mystery, even if they did not prove anything on their own. All of this together shaped a new idea in Baudo's mind. He began to believe that the patterns were not just random or artistic. He believed they were intentional. He believed they carried information, not in words, but in shapes, not in language, but in geometry. A circle is understood everywhere. A pattern can be seen by anyone. This made the idea feel possible to him. If someone wanted to share knowledge without using language, shapes would be the simplest way to do it. Shapes could cross boundaries. Shapes could last. So the work continued, slowly and carefully, with each step building on the last. What began as simple observation turned into detailed study, and what began as curiosity slowly turned into a belief that these patterns might be more than they seemed. So what really happened when these ideas were taken off paper and turned into real working machines? Stay tuned for more. The machines that raised questions. As the designs moved from paper and screens into physical form, the work entered a new stage. It was no longer just about studying patterns. It became about testing real systems, built with real materials, and seeing how they behaved under pressure. The models were made with metal parts, carefully cut and arranged to match the exact measurements that had been studied. Each component had to fit just right. There was no room for guessing. The balance had to be precise, and the placement had to follow the original geometry closely. When the systems were tested, they were set into motion with an initial push. This was expected. No system starts on its own without some input. But what happened next drew attention. As the systems spun, the weights moved outward, and the springs began to stretch. The motion became smoother and more stable as speed increased. In some tests, the systems reached very high speeds. The rotation became so fast that parts appeared blurred to the eye. Even at these speeds, the systems did not show the level of heat that would normally be expected. This suggested that energy loss due to friction was lower than usual, though not necessarily absent. These observations led to more discussion. Some people saw promise in the results. Others remained cautious. The idea that a system could maintain or increase motion without continuous input raised serious questions. It touched on the limits of known physics, and that made it difficult to accept without strong proof. At the same time, the work was shared openly. The methods were explained. The designs were shown. There was no attempt to hide the process. The goal appeared to be understanding, not control. This openness invited both interest and criticism. Some argued that the systems might be using energy from sources that were not fully accounted for. Others believed the measurements might not include every factor. These concerns were not dismissed easily. They became part of the ongoing discussion. Then something unexpected happened. As interest in the work grew, information about it began to slow down. Updates became less frequent. Details that were once available became harder to find. The flow of new data seemed to stop. This raised more questions than answers. There was no clear explanation for the silence. Some believed it was simply the result of limited resources. Others wondered if the work had reached a point where it could not continue. There were also suggestions that the ideas might have been seen as too disruptive. The reason for that concern is not difficult to understand. Energy is at the center of modern life. It powers homes, industries, and entire nations. Systems are built around its control and distribution. If a new method appeared that could reduce cost or remove dependence, it would change many things very quickly. Such a change would not be simple. It would affect economies, jobs, and systems that have been in place for a long time. Because of this, any claim of a new energy method is often met with caution and sometimes resistance. There have been similar stories in the past, ideas that promised big changes but did not reach full acceptance. Some were proven wrong, others faded away before they could be fully tested. This history makes it harder for new claims to be taken seriously without strong, clear evidence. In this case, the main issue remains the same. There is no large-scale proof that the system works as described. Small tests and models are not enough to confirm such a major claim. For that, the technology would need to be reproduced many times, in many places, under careful observation. Until that happens, the idea remains uncertain. It sits between possibility and doubt. The designs exist. The tests were done. If these strange patterns really hold hidden designs for powerful machines, then one question pops up. What happens when someone actually tries to build them and test if they work in real life? Let's delve deeper. The mystery of crop circles and the search for free energy. George Pedley is known as one of the first people to report a crop circle and connect it to something strange in the sky. He said he saw a flying object that did not look normal. After that, he noticed a round shape pressed into a field. This made him believe the two things were linked. Because of his report, some people began to think crop circles might not be made by humans alone. Instead, they could be connected to something we do not fully understand. Some people believe these crop circles are not just random shapes. They think the patterns are made with purpose. According to this idea, the shapes may be like designs for machines. These machines, if built the right way, could produce energy without using fuel like oil or gas. This kind of energy would not run out. It could keep going without stopping. If this is true, it would change many things in the world. People would not need to pay for power. Homes, schools, and businesses could have energy at no cost. It would also reduce the need for fuel and large power systems. But this idea does not agree with what science teaches today. One important rule in science is called the first law of thermodynamics. This rule says that energy cannot come from nothing. It also says energy cannot just disappear. It can only change form. It also explains that machines lose energy as they work. Because of this, machines slow down over time unless more energy is added. However, the systems described here seem to act in a different way. They are said to keep moving and even gain speed without extra energy. This is why many people question the idea and do not accept it easily. The person behind this idea did not keep it secret. He shared his work with others. He showed how the designs were made and explained how they could work. He wanted engineers and scientists to test the idea for themselves. He was not trying to sell anything. He wanted people to study the idea and decide if it was true or false. This open way of sharing made more people aware of the idea, but it also brought doubt and questions. There are also worries about what could happen if this idea is proven to be true. Energy is very important in the world today. Many big companies make money by producing and selling it. Countries also depend on energy for power and income. If a new system could give free energy, it would change these systems. Big companies could lose control. Many jobs and businesses could be affected. Because of this, some people believe such an idea might face strong resistance or may not be allowed to grow easily. Crop circles also show some strange physical signs that are hard to explain. In some cases, the plants in the patterns are bent but not broken. This is unusual because plants usually break when force is used on them. There are also signs that the plants may have been heated, but they are not burned. The soil in some places shows strange magnetic changes. These changes are not normal and do not happen easily in nature. Another important point is that some crop circle designs repeat in different places. The same patterns appear again and again in different countries and at different times. These patterns are very exact. The shapes follow clear measurements and balance. This makes it hard to believe they are random. It looks like they follow a set plan or rule. Because of all this, some people believe crop circles may be a way of sending a message. Instead of using words, they use shapes. Shapes can be understood by anyone. A circle looks the same everywhere. Patterns can be studied without needing language. This makes them a simple way to share information with many people. In the end, some believe crop circles may hold important ideas. They may not just be marks in fields. They could contain knowledge that people have not yet fully understood, especially when it comes to energy These patterns may point to new ways of thinking. If crop circles are truly linked to strange lights, unusual effects, and possible unknown intelligence, then what have people actually seen and experienced when they go deeper into these mysterious fields? Let's find out. Strange lights, silent fields, and the mystery of crop circles. Andy Thomas has spent many years studying strange patterns that appear in farm fields. He began his research in the early 1990s and has continued for a very long time. In his view, crop circles are still a mystery. No one has been able to fully explain where all of them come from or why they appear. Because of this, many different ideas exist, and people still argue about what they really are. Some people who have visited crop circle areas say they feel strange when they are near them. A few say they feel tingling in their body. Others say they get headaches or feel weak or sick for no clear reason. There are also reports that phones, cameras, and other electronic devices sometimes stop working or act in strange ways when they are inside or near these patterns. These things do not happen to everyone, and there is no full proof that the crop circles cause them. Still, many people talk about these experiences and they add to the mystery. There are many ideas about what crop circles could be. One idea is that they are not made by people at all. Some believe they may be linked to unknown intelligence. This could mean beings from other planets or even from other dimensions. In this idea, crop circles are not just random shapes. They may be a kind of message. The message may not use words. Instead, it may use shapes, lines, and patterns. Some people believe that if such intelligence exists, it may try to slowly show itself over time. It may not want to scare humans. Instead, it may use calm and simple patterns to get attention little by little. The researcher also shares personal experiences from his time in the fields. He says he has seen glowing round lights in the sky above crop fields. These lights appear suddenly and then disappear. He also says he has seen dark shapes moving very fast and very quietly across the sky. These shapes do not make sound and cannot be clearly identified. There is no clear answer for what they are. They are only seen for a short time and then gone. These experiences are not proven facts, but they are part of what he has seen during his research. Another thing that is often discussed is when crop circles appear. Most of them show up in summer when crops are tall and green. This makes them easy to see from above. However, there are also rare cases where crop circles appear in winter or even in snow-covered fields. This is unusual because snow makes it harder to form or see patterns clearly. Because of this, people wonder why they appear in different seasons. There is no clear answer yet. Some people believe crop circles may carry hidden messages. One example is a design that looked like it included a human figure and a pattern that could be read like a computer code. Some believe this code can be translated into words. When translated, it has been said to give warnings about lies and false promises. Not everyone agrees with this idea, but it shows how some people think crop circles may contain meaning and not just shapes. The topic is also very debated. Many scientists and media groups do not believe crop circles are anything special. They say most of them are made by people as art or jokes. Some people think this view is too quick and does not look at all the details. Others say there is not enough proof to support the idea that crop circles are anything more than human work. Because of this, the topic is divided. People do not agree, and no final answer has been found. In the end, crop circles remain a mystery. Some people think they are made by humans, others think they may involve unknown forces or intelligence. There is no final answer that everyone agrees on. Because of this, people continue to study them, visit them, and talk about them. What do you think about the mystery of crop circles? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you for staying with us as we explored the mystery of crop circles and the strange ideas linked to them. If this deep look into unusual patterns in fields kept you engaged, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video on your screen to continue exploring more stories. See you there.